Welcome everyone to Aesthetic Impact Informational Services presentation of Control Remote Viewing Review of the Phase 5 tools and breaking out the noun kernel and being wrapped around the axle and also mini Phase 5 tools. There's really 3 tools in Phase 5. And I have 2 viewers who have sessions recently who demonstrated P5 tools, and I thought it would be an excellent learning opportunity for everyone. And so David Beatty is here, and Lynn Buchanan is here. David is a contributing remote viewer to our Target of the Weekend discussions, and Lynn, being the trainer and mentor that he is, I thought I just broke out some of the bulleted items from the tools and then the examples of these sessions that we can look at, and I just thought we would turn it over to David and Lynn and just have a free-flowing discussion. What do you guys think of that? Nothing structured, let's just talk about it.
Sounds good.
All righty.
Okay, who wants to start?
Well, as I'm not fully qualified, I'm still heavily into practice. I can only wink around the subject of Phase 5. I think Lynn is one with full command of the matter. So I'm a little awkward about instructing at this stage.
Well,
all right, Lynn, I think that's you.
Okay. Stage 5, Ingo realized that at some point in every session you sort of get wrapped around the axle, or you know, at some point you need to kind of back off the viewing and say, what in the world's going on here? And so he created Stage 5, which we call P5, Phase 5, and it, like all of the other tools, is not one of these things where you go Stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like stair steps. It's a tool that you can use in any other phase. You just stop what you're doing in that phase, analyze what's going on, and then you go back to work. You just go back to the same phase you left and keep on working. And like Teresa said, there are 3 tools in this toolkit. The one she has up here is tool number 1. And this is used for just kind of blowing out the pipes. You know, when you get all wrapped around the axle and you get stuck in the same things coming over and over and over, or else when nothing's coming at all, you can declare Phase 5, and you can use this tool to free your mind away from the target, blow out the pipes, get it, you know, get your mind off of things for a while, and then go right back into what you were doing. And this is sort of the equivalent of, let's say you're in the house and it's cool, and you've been in the house so long you don't feel the cool anymore, okay? So you go out into the summer heat, and then you come back in, and all of a sudden you're very sensitive to the cool in the house. And so this is exactly that. You stay in session, you get to where you're not seeing the target anymore, fine. You go out of session, get into another environment, which is the Stage 5 environment, and then you go back into session, and all of a sudden you're sensitive to the target. And that is the entire purpose of this tool number 1. Gesundheit. And so rather than go into the working of the tool number 1, tool number 2 is where you have, this is the yellowed space that she was showing earlier. You have the impressions here. Let me raise this 200, okay. he had, I can barely read this, churning. Well, anyway, what happens here is you get a series of impressions, and then what's called a package hits you. It's a package of information.
It's black spot and chromie aspect, or I had written it up there, and then small.
Small. Okay,
yeah.
Good. Okay, and then all of a sudden, Wurlitzer. Okay, he had a black spot, a chromie aspect to it, small, and wham, Wurlitzer, an organ. Okay, something happened between the word small and the word Wurlitzer that he got a ton of impressions in there. None of them got written down. And so what the second one does, the analogy that we get is you get just flooded over with these impressions. So what do? Instead of working them one by one, you grab them all up, throw them into the box, but then you've got to label the box. And so he took all those impressions, threw it into a box, and labeled it Wurlitzer. Okay, the second tool in the Phase 5 toolkit simply works backwards from Wurlitzer back to the word small. The last thing in to the box is the first thing out. You just take the last thing that you put into the box, you take out and declare it. Then the thing that happened right before that, you take that out and declare it. And so you work backwards from Wurlitzer back to small, and you get all of those impressions that never got written down. So here all of a sudden you were hit by this wave of all these impressions coming at once, and this tool lets you take them out of the box one at a time, slows the process down so that you can get these impressions and put them onto paper. The third type, or the third tool in the Phase 5 toolkit is generally used more in Phase 2 and Phase 3 than anywhere else, but it can be used anywhere in the remote viewing session. But it's generally used more in Phase 2 and 3. And that is, let's say you get pink, furry, fuzzy, cuddly, stray cat, army tank. And you say, what? Those things don't add up. Well, what happens in a case like that is that your subconscious is almost always saying, yes, but, and instead of giving you a pure perception, it gives you a symbolic perception, okay? And usually, almost always, it's a noun. And so what happens is you get pink, furry, cuddly, and so on. And so in this thing, using this tool, you say at its most basic gut level, what does an army tank symbolize to me? Ooh, danger. Ah, what you've learned is that the target is pink, furry, cuddly, and dangerous. Okay? And so you're breaking out the symbolism behind this weird-looking stray cat that doesn't make any sense at all, and yet there's the symbolism, and it tells you what description it's trying to give you about the target. And these are the three main tools. You do not remote view while you're using any of the Stage 5 tools. So when you're using the one to get, unraveled and unwrapped from the axle, you go away from the remote viewing. You get out into the summer heat. That way, when you come back into the session, you can feel the cool and all. In the second type, The second type, what you're doing is you are working backwards, logically trying to remember what impressions you got. You're not remote viewing. You're not remote viewing the impressions. You're remembering the last thing you got, and then you remember the thing before that, and you remember the thing, but you do not remote view new stuff. You're going back through to get the old stuff that you missed. In the third type of tool, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, I got this really freaky stray cat, and you're analyzing, you're saying, what does that really freaky thing symbolize to me? And you're breaking out the symbology behind it. So in any of the P5 tools, you do not remote view while you're using the tool. And as soon as you finish using the tool and getting the information from it, you go right back into your session wherever you left off, and you just keep on going. And you'll find that all three of them act just like the first one does, in that it kind of clears the cobwebs out, it gets you a break from the session, you go back in, and you find yourself more sensitive to the target.
You know, I have here, just let me switch over for just a second. The Stanford Institute's Coordinate Remote Viewing Training Manual, and it just had this really, page 5 on page 35. And let me just get to it really quickly, and maybe somebody, just get it on the recording here that it is available if somebody wants to review it. But here, it actually has an explanation of objects and attributes and what those mean. I don't know, Lynn, this is not your manual. I don't know if you want to address anything that they have to say here, but I just wanted to get it up for these folks to see.
Yeah, this is good. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Look up at the top there, and you'll see the address where you can pick this manual up.
Oh, whoever called you didn't get an answer, so now they're calling me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it talks about objects that are things that can be seen or touched. And then attributes are characteristics or quality of that person or thing. And subjects are defined as something that are dealt with in a discussion. And topics are defined as a subject of that, or discourse, or theme.
Okay, now then, does anybody, from looking at that, understand the difference between a subject and a topic?
Nope, but I figure I've got David's session is here, and he went through those, and so I thought if you could just talk about, like when we would be in class, you know, attributes and emanations and objects and emanations and, you know, okay, so he was wrapped around the axle with all I need is a miracle, and he chose to P5 a miracle. And the first thing up is attributes. And what are emanations?
Oh, I see. Okay. Attributes, emanations, should be objects first. Anyway, objects are nouns. Okay. Let's go to the objects first here. It's got artifacts, records, headings, is it? Structure for communication. These are all nouns. A noun is the name of a person, place, or thing. Okay? And so then you go to attributes, and an attribute is a descriptive word. Okay? So nouns, adjectives and adverbs. So he's got wondrous, religious, widely heralded, magical. Okay, these are descriptive words of a miracle. One of the things that you've got to understand here, he's pulled out the word miracle. He is not remote viewing the target. He's not giving descriptive words and nouns that are associated with the target. He's giving attributes and objects that are related to the word miracle. Okay? Has nothing whatever to do with the target. You walk off and you leave that target behind. You take the word miracle and you say, how would you normally describe a miracle? It is wondrous, it is religious, it's widely heralded, it's magic. Okay, what things are associated with a miracle? Artifacts, records, healings, that's healings, I guess. Okay, structure for commemoration, and so on. And so you're not working a miracle at the target, you're working the word miracle. You walk off and leave that session behind. Get it totally out of your mind. That's very important in stage 5. Okay, then, this is not a real explanation of the difference between subjects and topics, but it works for everybody. Okay, so in this stage 5 tool, a subject is anything that follows on from the word you're analyzing. So, what follows on from a miracle? Well, after a miracle, you start having ceremonies, you start having contemplation, you start having written accounts, you start having a cultural bias and cultural basis. It changes people. You start having subcultures, you start having all this other stuff, and all this stuff results from there being a miracle. Okay? Not a miracle at the target, but just any standard miracle. Okay, then if you go into, take it to the next page, good.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, topics. What leads up to there being a miracle? Religion leads up to there being a miracle. Public manipulation.
Yes.
Okay, reverence. Reverence leads up to a miracle. Guidance leads up to a miracle. Study.
Money grab.
Money grab. Okay. Tourism. That results from a miracle. Those last two. And so those last two should be on the other thing. But anyway, the subject, what follows on from there being whatever word you're talking about. Let's pick some other word that he's got up here on the previous page.
Okay.
Okay. No, on the previous page.
Sorry.
Okay. Describe, okay, I need a miracle. What's that top word?
Wondrous? Oh, I need a miracle?
No.
Wait, where are you?
It starts out as a rock tune, which is actually by Mike and the Mechanics, and it's a 2-line phrase from that song. All I need is a miracle. All I need is you.
Yeah, but using the P5, you never use this P5 tool number 1 on a stray cat, which he has done here, but I'm ignoring that. Up at the very top of the page, it says P2. Humanness.
Yes, that's his biological.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's take the word biological, okay? You P5, biological. Fine. What attributes, what descriptors would describe biological. Okay,
I can try
living.
this writing thing.
I'm sorry?
I thought maybe I could try this whiteboard thing.
Oh, okay.
I can try it. Just tell me what to write, because I can't run this thing and do it both.
Okay. Biological, what descriptors, so you would put P5, biological,
Oh,
and
brother.
you write that?
I'm trying.
Oh.
Lord
Anyway,
have mercy.
you put P5, biological, and then emanations.
Deborah wanted to see if we could do this, but I don't know. This could take us all night.
Yeah, this is going to be too slow. Okay.
Yeah.
What descriptors describe biological? Living, moving, breathing, jumping up and down, wild, tame, and so on. Okay. You run out of things, you move over a column, and you write biological, objects, emanations. In other words, what emanates from the word biological, okay? What objects or nouns are associated with biological? Well, you've got people, you've got animals, you've got plants, you've got clams, okay, you've got dogs, cats, giraffes, zebras, and so on. And when you run out of things there, then you move over, okay? And you put biological, subjects, emanations, and then you sit and you think. If you have biologicals, then it follows that you will have what? You will have communities, you will have wars, you will have love, you will have jealousy, you will have food, you will have growing, you will have hunting, you will have children, and so forth and so on. Those are the things that follow from their being biological. Okay, when you run out of things there so that you're saying, and scratching your head, don't push the rope anymore. Just go ahead, move over one more column, and you say biological, topics, emanations, and then you say, what leads up to their being biologicals? Okay, there's growth, seeds bring about trees, babies bring about adults, you know, evolution or creation, whichever you're into, and what is it that brings about there being biologicals in a place? Okay, UFOs landing and going off and leaving people or whatever. And so, now then, once you run out of things there, then none of that was about the target. It was all about the word biological. You left the target behind. So now then, you've put all this thought and you've put all this going through your own personal vocabulary and all that into doing this little puzzle here. And so it actually does clear your mind. It gets rid of the cobwebs and it, unwraps you from the axle. And then when you go back into the target, into the remote viewing session, all of a sudden you're much more sensitive to the target. And so you're using this as a tool. Now, this is all written down in your session simply because you've got the pen and paper right there. However, none of this is about the target. So when you write your summary, you ignore all this. You don't include it into your summary. You do not cue with any of these words, like war or food or whatever. You don't cue with that because none of this is about the target. In your mind, you just leave the outside, you go back in to the session, and all of a sudden you're more sensitive to whatever's there.
You want to try the same thing with phase tool and the Wurlitzer? Or something else we could sort of play with?
Well, I think we need to see if anybody has any questions first.
Okay.
About that tool.
Sure enough. I think that's why they call you teacher.
I know that I've been intellectually uncomfortable between the column titled subjects and topics.
Well, that puts you down there with right down there with all the rest of us.
Somewhere in my notes in class, I recorded that subjects had to do with the present and topics had to do with the past. I'm looking for an escape from discomfort.
This is from Paul, or what?
I think it must have been from yourself.
Me? Okay. No, I've always taught the simplified version, which says, you know, subjects is what follows on from something. Topics is what leads up to something.
Okay.
So I guess you could construe that to be, you know, if something happened, then what is there now? Okay. What follows on from it? And in the past, what led up to there being that something? So
okay.
I guess that works. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if you read carefully the distinction that's in the SRI manual, you'll find a slightly different definition for both of those, and I have never seen anybody read those two paragraphs without coming away scratching their head saying, "What?" And so, the definitions that I give are simplified, but they work. And you know, we tried that 1,000 times, and sure enough, it worked. So that's when we teach it.
Yeah, that's why I bulleted that out. Ask yourself if there is a targeted perception, then it follows that there will be. That's your way of helping us understand it.
Yeah. Well, I know when it was first explained to me in the SRI method, my response was, "What?" And in fact, I think Inga's response was the same.
I was blaming Ingo for this structure all this time.
Inga created the structure, but, well, this gets into political history here. SRI claimed ownership of Inga's structure, and they tried to get it copyrighted with their name on it and all that. By the way, as it turns out, I own the copyright for the term controlled remote viewing. Anyway.
Wow.
I bet that goes over well in certain circles.
Not very.
Yeah. Gail has a question. Gail, go ahead.
Lynn, you said that this first phase 5 tool is not to be used with stray cats. So how do you, when you decide you need to use it to blow out the pipes, how do you choose the word that you're going to use this tool on?
Randomly. Mainly all you're trying to do is get out of the session. So you just pick a word, and whatever word you pick should be in one of the perception columns, not in the stray cat column.
Okay, so a perception you've already had in the session?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Now, you notice that here he selected one from the stray cat column, and it worked. And so, you know, you're not ruining your whole session and all that if you do this tool number 1 on the stray cat. It's just generally a stray cat. Well, all stray cats have target information in them, no matter what. And generally, when you want to P5 a stray cat, what you're wanting to do is pull that information out. So that's when you use the second tool rather than the first one. And the first one is mainly just to clear your mind.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. As basic, we don't encourage you to do anything with nouns except set them aside. Right.
Cindy was asking a question if she had access to this entire document or whatever. I said, when you get to intermediate class, you will. I just sort of carved some of it out for tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing about that, when I teach a class, I break the manual into 3 separate parts: the basic, intermediate, and advanced. I've found that if I give everybody the manual all at once, they still come back for class and all that. So, you know, it's not that I'm trying to withhold information or anything. I find that they have almost always jumped ahead just out of curiosity and, you know, the magician's apprentice type syndrome, and that they have really messed themselves over. And like when they come back for the intermediate, I spend my entire time breaking bad habits instead of teaching good ones. And so I just got to where when you come for the basic class, I give you the basic material, and it goes to page 21, I think, and then the next page is 52, and that space in between is what you get in the following courses. But that's why Teresa said, you know, you'll get that when you go to the intermediate.
You know, I can also, I think, write out here to the right, but I needed that whole whiteboard for that exercise. But does anybody, are you guys okay with his explanation in my little yellow area of, do we want to, like, do anything and exercise with this, or is the explanation enough?
Somebody want to try this? We'll just pick a word out of the air or something.
We've got some comments. Just a second. From Deborah, if tool 1 is for blowing out the pipes, could just taking a break do the same job?
It can, but if you're the kind who's prone to not take a break whenever you take a break, you know, you get away, you're going to get coffee, and the whole time you're thinking about the target or talking about what you did in session and all that, then this is going to work better. If you're the kind who can absolutely take a break, and once you get your coffee, you kind of forgotten where you're supposed to go back to the table, you know, because you've forgotten there is a session. If you can be that forgetful, yeah, taking a break is just as good. Most people can't do that.
And I couldn't remember either. Do we need, because this is a conscious mind activity, do we need to declare a break when we do P5? Because I'm thinking no.
No, you don't.
Okay.
You're on break, but anytime anybody sees P5,
yeah,
they know you're not viewing the target. So
okay.
You can declare a break if you want to, but you don't need to.
Okay.
But also, this is much faster than a break. You can go down through, you can pick any word, go down through those 4 columns, and be done and have the mental break of a 20-minute normal break in 1.5 to 2 minutes. So
okay,
it's much faster.
Let's try winging the number 2 tool. I'll try and write. I'll try and keep up with you.
Okay, you didn't want to have somebody try the number 1 tool on a word?
Oh, sorry.
Let's
I
do
thought
that.
you meant we were going to try number 2 tool. Okay.
No, let's try somebody, pick a word out of the air and have somebody try their hand at the tool number 1. Who volunteers? Notice how everybody raises their hand at once.
Yeah, and they're all typing. I know they are, and they're all getting ready to hit enter. Oh, there we go. Marco's got his hand up.
Okay.
All right, Marco.
Okay, Teresa?
Yeah.
Pick a word. Any descriptive word.
Marco's got his hand up. I think he's ready.
Okay, pick a word.
And again, maybe he just fell asleep and his nose is resting on the question pad.
Excuse me.
He's awake.
Okay, Teresa?
Yeah.
We have to have a word for him to work.
Well, I thought he was going to pick the word. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you please? Hello, American. Can you please explain it again? I didn't listen properly. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to demonstrate. So.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll just guide you through it. Guide whoever does it. I'll go ahead and volunteer since nobody wants to do it.
Okay.
Pick a word.
Telephone, one of your favorites.
Okay, telephone. All right. So I write telephone. Telephone. Attributes. Emanations.
Wait, hey, before you do telephone, you would never have the word telephone listed as a perception.
That's right, you wouldn't.
This is true. She's so smart. All right, let me get rid of telephone. I just saw the telephone, I went for telephone.
Okay.
You do an adjective, right? Like,
yeah. Okay.
Successful.
Okay, successful.
Oh,
successful.
Lord have mercy.
Successful.
Oh, now I don't know how to make my pen skinny.
Let me just go through it. It's
go ahead.
fast, okay?
Go ahead.
Okay, successful. Attributes. Emanations, okay. Happy, prosperous, rich. Okay, there's my It's time to move on. So I say successful. Objects. Emanations. Money. Success. Boats. Yachts. Palaces. Tours to England. World tours. Okay, there's my I ran out of things. So I say, okay, successful. Subjects, emanations. If you're successful, then what follows from that success? Productivity, riches, happiness, hopefully, ego boost, and you know these can be nouns, adjectives, anything in here, just whatever follows from it. And so then I say, inheritance, something like that. So then now I move to the fourth column. I say successful, topics, attributes. What leads up to being successful? Hard work, determination, stick-to-itiveness. There's my and I'm finished. And that, believe it or not, will give your mind the equivalent of about a 15-minute break. Any comments or questions or anything?
I'm looking. Okay, so in review, the emanations go for each section until you hit the word.
Yeah.
And then you move on to the next.
Yeah. And I say a lot between everything, so
Yeah.
when I come to a real that's when I move on over. Any questions or anything at all about the tool number 1? The thing to remember that's, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it just seems like it would be easy to remember if instead of like using the word objects or subjects, if you just had like, for subjects, basically it's like what follows, right? And topics, what leads up.
Yeah.
It would be just kind of easier to have other words that were more self-explanatory, I guess.
Yeah, just like instead of attributes and objects, you could say descriptors and nouns. Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason we stick with those is just because that's what Ingo used, and so those are the ones we stick with, trying to remain as true as possible to the Ingo structure. It doesn't really matter which one you do, what terminology you use. The whole basic thing is that you're getting away from the session for a minute.
Marco wants to give it a try.
Okay, good. Pick a word.
And not sorry, the English. Let me type it for you.
Okay. Well, that's a noun. Okay, pick a word for him to...
Marco didn't understand the word emanation.
Oh, the word. Okay.
And he was trying to understand it.
Yeah, like light emanates from a fire or a flashlight. Tree emanates from a seed, okay? So if you have the word black or red or something like that, what ideas emanate from that? What ideas come from that and are associated to it? This is sort of the association game.
Okay, so somebody pick a word.
Bashful.
Okay.
Sorry, what was that?
Bashful.
Bashful.
Shy.
Bashful.
Yeah, like shy.
Does it mean shy?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I go to objects. Yeah.
You go to attributes. I'm sorry.
Attributes. Is that the next step? Okay.
What descriptors do you associate with shy?
Sorry.
Would be like fearful?
Yeah.
Afraid?
Okay.
Afraid?
Quiet? Introverted?
Sorry, writing with a mouse is not easy.
Okay. It's actually harder than I thought it was.
Well, and it's the middle of the night for you. So.
And it gets easier as you practice it.
I can do it also myself, like just try practice, no?
Okay, yeah.
Just when I have free time, we can pick a word and follow the process.
Okay.
So,
reticent. Okay, how about proud?
Proud.
Go ahead and do it on proud.
Okay.
Me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Proud. So attributes. Yeah.
Yeah, just adjectives,
Adjectives. Like.
What words describe somebody who is proud?
Confident or no?
Good. Yep.
Confident. What more?
Boastful.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ego.
Bragging. Okay. There's your So now then, proud. What nouns do you associate with pride, with being proud?
Trophy.
What was that? Deborah, what did you say?
Trophy.
Trophy.
Accomplishment.
Contest.
Accomplishment.
Satisfaction.
Satisfaction. Winning.
Yeah.
Prizes. Nose stuck in the air.
Money.
Money. Okay. Now then, move to the third column. If you are proud, then it follows that what? What follows on from being proud?
I hate the work.
Yeah, the thing is, this is not really supposed to be that easy a thing. It's supposed to be difficult enough that it takes your mind completely off the target. And that's the whole thing of this, because you never use these words in your summary, you never cue with them. It's just hard enough to get you thinking about something besides the target. And so, you know, the first rule of taking a break is take a break. Well, this is a tool that makes you take a break.
That's good. Can we finish this exercise?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then the fourth one would be, what leads up to being proud? What is it that makes a person proud?
Doing a good job.
Success. Winning. Compliments.
Compliments, yeah.
Does it have to be a single word, or can it be several words or a
It
sentence?
can be, yeah, it can be several words, Doing a good job makes you proud. Winning a race makes you proud. Beating the crap out of the guy that's twice your size, that makes you proud. And then, go ahead.
Like, work or something that you'll be proud of? Or...
Yeah. And then once you run out of perceptions there, then your mind has been off the target long enough that, like I say, you're out in the summer heat and you go back into the air conditioning, all of a sudden you're sensitive to the cold, whereas before you had gotten so used to it you didn't even notice it anymore. And your mind can get used to the target so that you stop noticing it. So you go out of the session, you do this little exercise that's designed to make you focus your attention somewhere else, and then when you go back into session, all of a sudden you're very sensitive to the target. It's a really neat tool.
Is it possible to do this as a default in order to get back on target? You could pick any descriptor you could come up with.
Yeah, absolutely, it works. And since none of this is about the target, it doesn't matter what descriptor you come up with. So basically what you do is you go back up into stage 2 or 3, or if you're in stage 4 or 6 or something, you just go back up into one of the columns, you pick any word that's there, do this tool number 1, phase 5, and it gets your mind off the target long enough to absolutely make you take a break. It's a really neat tool, and it can be very fast too.
Ooh, I see all these people throwing out suggestions over in the text area. I couldn't do the whiteboard and look at those. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Getting a promotion makes you proud. Getting an award makes you proud. Yeah.
Marco's
Dominance?
asking if a basic student can use this technique.
Yes. We don't normally teach it in the basic class simply because there is so much already in the basic class that that people need to learn that we don't throw even more into it. And the tool number 3 is used mostly in stage 2 and 3, and so it's used mostly in the basic level, but we don't throw it in there either simply because it just winds up bogging the student down with too much information. The basic class, in the basic class, we teach you the basic tool for everything that you'll be using in all of remote viewing. When you come back to the intermediate class, we show you new ways to use those tools, and then when you come back for the advanced class, we show you some really, really neat ways to use those tools, but you're still using the same tools. Just like almost everything in the advanced class is an ideogram. That's what you learn in phase 1. You're not coming through very well, Marco.
I was just thinking that basic is like setting, important groundwork.
It is. Yeah, it's the foundation. So in the basic, we're not really trying to teach you how to remote view. We're trying to teach you how to build a foundation for all the remote viewing you're ever going to do after that. That's what's more important. And this is what we say in the basic course. We tell everybody that the practice targets we give you, you're not there to learn something about the practice target. You're there to learn something about yourself. You're building a foundation for yourself that's going to last through everything else.
Yeah. I was thinking that this tool that we were talking about right now is quite good, to develop your vocabulary.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's we hand out those exercises in the basic class, and one of them is the vocabulary building exercise. And this is just a straight use of that vocabulary building exercise. The fact is that it doesn't matter how good a psychic you are, if you can't tell anybody what you're seeing, then what good are you? You haven't done anything for anybody. So there have been tests made and all that, and they have found that the larger vocabulary a person has, that a psychic has, the better their product, the better work they do. And so much of being psychic does not depend on being psychic at all. It depends on being able to tell people what you find. And that's why we work on vocabulary, and that's why we work so much on how to write a summary that somebody else can read.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I wanted to share one thing that I noticed. Like usually when I do my sessions for the target of the week, the vocabulary comes usually in English. But when I do just for myself or training practices, then the vocabulary is usually in Estonian language.
That's good.
So it's interesting to notice that I'm not asking that; it just happens naturally.
Yeah. And like, what you'll find as you keep going is that the two languages will mix, and if you know other languages, they'll mix too, because the words in each language have a slightly different meaning, and as your mind gets to where it starts distinguishing between those meanings at the target, you'll start mixing the languages, and that's a good thing.
Just, I would like to say a small note that when I've been doing a little bit more sessions, that I noticed that the memory opens up. Like I just remember some stuff that I learned really long time ago in school, or some foreign languages or German languages, and just words or phrases pop up in the mind.
Yeah, and
quite funny.
When they do, write them down.
Okay.
They pop up for a reason. Your mind's trying to tell you something.
It's just funny to notice that, even if it's some old song or something, or movie phrase, or so I should maybe have a notebook and write them down.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Okay, did anybody else have any questions at all on the first tool? First tool is a very useful tool. It can take the place of a 15-minute break, and it can really get you back on target. So don't be afraid to use it. So do you want to go on to the number 2 tool?
We can.
It's up to you all. This is freewheeling night.
This is very helpful.
Good.
Okay, so the next tool is number 2, the one where you get a perception and then a whole bunch of stuff comes in, you scoop it up and throw it in a box.
Yep. And the minute you throw it into a box, you just feel compelled to put a label on it, okay? So David had another session where he had these impressions and then went across AOL of Wurlitzer. That AOL of Wurlitzer really had almost nothing at all to do with the impression of a metallic thing and small. Wurlitzer is not a small instrument, okay? And so something happened between the word small and the word Wurlitzer. And it happens so fast that nobody can keep up with it. And in fact, it's called a packet. You get this packet of information, and it all comes in so fast because all of a sudden your subconscious mind says, oh, old dummy up there is listening to me. Well then, blah, 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 you know, and all of a sudden it just gives you this tonnage of information. Well, the only thing your conscious mind can possibly do is grab it, throw it into a box, and label the box with one word. But something causes you to select that one word over all the other words in the language? Why did you pick that one word? The answer to that is in all that stuff that didn't get written down, okay? So in this kind of P5, you would go over to the left side, you would say P5 Wurlitzer, and you would say prior emanations. In other words, what came right before I thought the word Wurlitzer? Okay, let's just, I don't know in David's mind what, was it this David's or Jed's?
This is David.
Dave's, okay. I don't know what came right before that. He would have to know. But I'm just going to make up something, okay? Right before I wrote the word Wurlitzer, I got that it was big. Oh, okay. So I write the word Wurlitzer, P5 Wurlitzer, prior emanations, and I say right before I got Wurlitzer, I got that something was big. Now then, what did I get right before that? Oh, I got that I was looking up at something. I was looking up at whatever was big. Okay, so I write down looking upwards. What did I get right before that? Well, I was attracted to looking up by all these vertical things that were metallic, okay? And so I write down vertical, metallic. Now then, right before I got that, what did I get? Oh, right before that, I remember I was thinking I was looking down. Okay, I was looking down. So you write down, I was looking down. Why was I looking down? What happened right before that? Well, I was noticing this small, metallic-looking thing, chromy-looking thing. Oh, okay, so I write down small, chromy-looking. What I have done is I have gone from Wurlitzer and worked my way backwards to the last impression that I did write down, chromy-looking and small. And so I've picked up all of those impressions that did not get written down, and now they're written down. Okay? So now that they're written down, I can take them into my summary, and I can cue with them. I can say now, oh, describe this small metallic thing. Oh, okay. I can make that my target and start, you know, describing details about whatever that is at the target. And I can say, you know, vertical metallic looking things. Okay. I can cue with that and say, give me more descriptors about those. But if they never get written down, you don't have them there to cue with. Was that about as clear as mud to everybody?
Oh, actually, that was pretty good, I thought. However, at my level of experience, it did not cross my mind to do anything with Wurlitzer.
Yeah.
I was not sensitive to it.
Well, this is the thing. You never cue with a stray cat. And so you're supposed to go over to the right side, write down Wurlitzer, and set it aside. That's what you learn in the basic course.
Yes.
In the intermediate course, you learn that there's a tool that now then I can break out those things that happen in between. And in the basic course, one of the things we're trying to teach you is when to throw stuff away. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's in the basic course, it's more important to throw it away than it is to get the information from it.
Are you then recommending that for training or practice for each stray cat, I should then pursue a phase 5. Not necessarily?
Well, not necessarily. There are 18 different kinds of stray cats and AOLs. And the kind where you realize that there was some logic involved and where you got a lot of impressions and you all of a sudden made up your mind and wrote down a noun, that kind, I would say, yeah, go for it. Now, there's another kind of stray cat and AOL that we use the third tool on, and we'll get into that. But there are all different kinds. There are explanatory stray cats. There are definitive stray cats. There are notational stray cats and all that. There are comparative stray cats and so on. You say red, and then you say brick red, and then you say stray cat. Well, not completely brick red, but kind of like brick red, okay? That's an explanatory stray cat. You wouldn't want to do that with, you wouldn't want to use this P5 tool with that, because it's just explaining.
Yes, I noticed a stray cat above Wurlitzer's test procedure for coffee makers. Now, I know very well that it's nothing to do with the target, it had to do with the domestic problem.
Yeah.
I wouldn't P5 that one.
Right, But yeah, once you get into the higher stages of training, once you're past the basics, then we go into all the different kinds of ideograms, all the different kinds of stray cats and AOLs, all the different kinds of analytic methods, you know, and all that. That's when we start turning it into a science. And so when you find a stray cat that you feel is something that, you know, you just got all these impressions, and so you went and decided what it was and wrote it down, yeah, give it a try. If it's that kind of stray cat, give it a try.
Cindy has a question. So the information from backtracking in tool number 2 is from the target, correct?
That's right. It's perceptions about the target that you didn't write down. Now, you're not remote viewing those perceptions. You're sitting there thinking, right before I got that it was big, what did I get? And you're thinking back microsecond by microsecond, trying to remember. You're not remote viewing new material, and that's very important. In all of these stage 5 tools, you walk away from the target, leave it behind, and you start analyzing. And so, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I wanted, is if you've got the distinction between those two or not, yeah.
For having a wing at night, I think we're doing pretty well.
Well, this is some stuff we, you know, we try to take up in class, and by the time, even in the intermediate class, there's so much to learn in the intermediate class that we take up the P5 on the last day of intermediate, and by then everybody's so saturated that they don't get most of this anyway, so it's good that we're going over it.
You're right, saturated is a very good word.
Yeah. Can you P5 that word?
Yeah. Actually, I have a problem with P5s. I just have, I think, too many words in my head to play with. So when I do a P5, I just write down anything and everything that I think about that word, and then I'm done. And there's no, I'm like, he's going to get out the wet noodles. I just know it.
You don't use the columns or anything?
I just write down the word, and I write in order anything and everything. I think about that word and get it out of my system, and I'm done, and I'm back to viewing.
Okay, then I have a question.
Yeah.
Does it work for you?
Yeah.
do it.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted these guys to hear that. I mean,
Yeah.
because I feared you were going to end up saying, does it work for you? Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, the whole Ingo Swann structure of controlled remote viewing, this wasn't something that Ingo just sat in his basement and made up one afternoon. This was something that he thought of, wrote it down, it went out to SRI, it was tried, it was databased, it was evaluated hundreds of times. The things that did not work were tossed, the things that did work were kept. And what you see as the CRV structure is actually the boiled down results of thousands and thousands of sessions to find out what does work and what doesn't. And so where you're getting, this is the cream that floats to the top. What you're getting is the good stuff. And this is one of the dangers when people out on the internet start to make up their own stuff. Just because it's logical doesn't mean it's going to work. If you haven't tested it 100 times and found out working, at least 90 of those times, then maybe it's something you should throw away. And a lot of people are out there charging money to teach people something that they just sat there and thought up one evening. And this is what I'm really against. There are a lot of things that work, just like what Teresa just said. The bottom line is, does it work? If it works, hey, it's a good tool.
Cindy says she likes the extensive vetting.
The betting.
Vetting, the clearing, trust but verify.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And of course, the thing is, this is called the Ingo Swann structure, but I would say at least over half of this was developed in testing and in actual operations, because in the military unit, we were using all this stuff, and we found out that some of the Ingo Swann structure doesn't work in applications. And so we found out what did over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sessions, and so we put that into the applications mode of the CRV methodology. For those who haven't heard my mantra yet, there are 4 modes to controlled remote viewing. One is research, one is training, one is practice, and one is operations. And each one of them has some slightly different tools, like some of the things you would use in research, like having a committee to pour over your stuff and evaluate it and all that. Hey, you've got 30 minutes to hand a paper to the general and he goes off and commands troops. The general's not going to sit there and wait for a group of top-level scientists to be formed and go over your material and all that. And so these 4 modes, they have slightly different tools. What we teach what I teach here at PSI is, from the first day of basic, I teach you towards being operational. And if that means that you're going to, go into a laboratory and they're going to get some lower scores for you, but you can bring a kid home for the police, then, that's fine with me.
I'm looking to see if anybody else has more questions.
Does anybody have any questions about either tool number 1 or tool number 2? Okay, you want to go into tool number 3?
We can.
Basically, we've already talked about it.
Yeah.
You say P5, and you write down the word, Army tank. And then you cue yourself with, at its most basic gut level, what does that word symbolize to me? What does an Army tank symbolize to you?
War.
Fear, danger,
Death.
power.
Power.
And you'll find that, okay, one target, let's say you don't know what the target is, but the target is some top-level politician in the country, okay? Your subconscious gives you Army tank. And you're going to come up and you're going to automatically say, oh, what does an Army tank symbolize to me? Power. Okay? But another situation where there's danger brewing somewhere, okay, you're out in the hills of Kentucky or Virginia or wherever it was, and you're standing there between the Hatfields and the McCoys, and your subconscious gives you Army tank, okay? What does Army tank symbolize to me? Get out of here. It symbolizes leave, quick, danger, you know? And so even with the same symbolic stray cat, your first choice of what it symbolizes to you is going to fit the target. It's really neat.
Then we can use information then from Phase 5, Part 3 in the session.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And when you get that it means danger, or it means get out of here, or something like that, or beware, you write that down as, let's say you're in Phase 2. You write that down as another Phase 2 descriptor, and you go back to work in Phase 2 and keep on going. You just learned something about the target.
That's terrific. Well, this may not be a fair question. Can I expect then, in this model, that if my subconscious tosses out Army tank at appropriate moments, then I could put that in my pocket. It's going to save my neck every time.
Except that an Army tank can symbolize many different things. And so, like in one session it may symbolize power, in another it may symbolize danger, according to what the target is.
Oh, I see.
So you can't make the hard and fast rule that if I get Army tank, then it means danger.
Okay.
It means war or something like that.
First impression, go with it, write it down.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And a mini P5 like this is going to be P5, the word, and then at the most 2 or 3 more words telling what it symbolizes to you, and then you're out of P5 and going back into your regular session. So the mini P5 is very, very fast.
Brad, do you have a question?
So if you had like a word, say a memory from your own life or part of a song or something, or you were reminded of like your Aunt Sally and you had written that down, you could use that for this too, right?
Not necessarily. You could write an entire book about the different levels of simply stray cats and AOLs. If it's something from your memory, and you go over and you say, stray cat, the porch swing at grandmother's house, okay? You can come back and say, P5, what does that symbolize to me? Oh, it symbolizes peaceful times, okay? But you may have been reminded of that by some pattern you saw or something like that in your mind. And so you come back over and you say, what does that symbolize to me? Well, it doesn't symbolize anything. I mean, it shows you the same pattern of your own experience that is actually at the target, so it's not symbolic. There is no hard and fast rule for these, and this is one of the problems that makes the P5 tools so hard for people to get and start using, is that there's really no hard and fast rule. If like you're going along and you say pattern, and all of a sudden you see the porch swing at your grandmother's house, and what you're seeing is the two chains in an upside down V that hold the swing up, then very likely there is an upside down V of some kind at the target.
Or there could even be a swing like that looks just like the swing at your grandmother's house.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're literally seeing it.
And the ones that come out of your memory, you know, your own personal recollections, will more often than not be that kind rather than a symbolic kind. The basic way to tell a symbolic noun is that generally it will not logically fit what you just got in your descriptors. This is like I say, you know, pink, fuzzy, cuddly, stray cat, army tank. And let's say you're getting a factory and it's noisy, it's busy, and you're smelling smoke and you're smelling all these chemicals, stray cat. That time I was playing in the yard with the cat. Okay, this is a personal memory, but it does not fit any of the descriptors you've just had, so it's probably symbolic. Now, if what you're getting is grass, yard, you know, cuddly, furry, oh, stray cat when I was playing with the cat in the yard, then that makes sense. So that's probably a recollection that's telling you something just very straight about the target. It's probably not symbolic in nature. These are a lot of rules and things that we've found over all these years. And the thing is, you get to where once you start seeing the differences in the different types of stray cat, you get to where you just recognize them without even thinking about it. And so that's the good news. But like I say, there are basically 18 different kinds of stray cats and AOLs.
Janine says that most of her AOLs seem to be guesses by her conscious mind about what I've already seen, trying to come up with a logical answer.
And that is an AOL. That's analytic overlay.
Classic.
That's classic AOL. Yeah. That's your conscious mind saying, I'm going to figure this out. I'm in charge of this session. Yeah.
Kind of keeps you alive that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's plain vanilla AOL. Okay, those are the basic, well, those are the three Stage 5 tools that have lived and survived through all of the testing. There have been hundreds of other Phase 5 tools that have been thrown away because they don't work. And this is one of the things in the military unit. We had thousands of ideas on how to improve remote viewing. Very few of them ever worked. But boy, were they ever good ideas, you know. It's through testing, and like I say, what you're getting is the result of everything that stayed after we found out what did and did not work. And these are the 3 Phase 5 tools that have survived because they work. They really do work.
Not bad for an hour and a half.
Have I been hogging the microphone for an hour and a half here? Sorry about that.
I think
that was really helpful.
I don't think you've been hogging it at all. Fantastically informative session.
Did anybody have any comments or questions or topics of anything else you want to talk about? I didn't let Dave have any time here. Dave, did you want to say anything?
Well, thank you. I don't think so. I learned as well. And as I say, I'm a ranked student, so every time I put the pen down on the page, there's something new to learn. So I feel fairly qualified to discuss the P5 as extensively, or I can't do it as extensively as you did, so that worked out well.
Just remember, whenever you think you're a ranked beginner, remember the Army phrase, rank has its privileges.
I have a question. This is Deborah, about the difference between P7, like where you just hear a word or a phrase, and P5. It seems like sometimes it's kind of different because you're hearing it, but sometimes it still would be classified as a AOL or stray cat. And so could you use that? Would you use that here?
Phase 7 is one of the 18 kinds of stray cats and AOLs. It's a stray cat, not an AOL. But the one of the ways you can tell it's a Phase 7 is you just feel compelled to put quotes around it because there's that feeling, hey, that didn't come from me. This is a lot of the same feeling that a natural psychic may get when they say, oh, that didn't come from me, it must be from my spirit guide or something like that. Because it just feels like, hey, where'd that come from? That wasn't from me. And that is generally the kind of AOL, or the kind of stray cat that you tend to put quotes around because you're quoting whoever it came from. And a lot of the, there are like 12 different kinds of P7s. So even within the one type of stray cat that is called a P7, there are about 12 different kinds of it. This is not an easy science if you're beginning to get that feeling. But most of them you'll feel compelled to put quotes around. Now, the P7 can be audible, so you can hear it, you can feel it. Many times you'll sense it in some other way. You'll sense it physically. There was one time, I think everybody who knows me knows about this. This time, I was in a room working a session by myself, and it was on Saddam Hussein, and I was working a plans and intentions session, and all of a sudden, the guy behind me leaned over my shoulder and whispered in my ear, "You're not going to believe what comes next." And he was right there. I felt him right behind me. I heard him whisper in my ear, and I was in the room by myself. And so by that time, I had learned what a P7 is, and Phase 7. And so I wrote that down. I went on with the session, and I couldn't believe what came next. When I turned the information in, they couldn't believe it, but they thought, we better pass it on up the chain of command just in case. And it went on up as far as, I don't know how far up the chain of command it went. But, sure enough, they found that Saddam Hussein had a guided missile of American manufacture that on the Feast of Ramadan was going to be lobbed into the Hajj, the center where all of the other countries, Muslim countries, religious leaders would be gathered on that day for the Feast of Ramadan, and was going to kill them all, leaving Saddam Hussein as the only Muslim leader left, and stirring the whole Muslim world up into war against the United States, because it would be proven to be a United States missile. And very little known fact was that at that time we would have, the estimate was that if the Muslim world went against us, we would be overrun and lose the war within like 3 days. And so that one session, that one P7 in that one session, I think, you know, pretty well made it to where we are today. Because if that had actually happened and the war had started like that, right now you would have two choices. You would either be Muslim or you would be dead. Simple as that. And so, you know, a P7 can get that strong because, I mean, I felt the guy behind me, he leaned over and whispered in my ear, and I heard it just like he was right there. You're not going to believe what comes next. And so they can get that strong. Or they can just be like a song title, and you put quotes around it. You say, where did that come from? So it's a type of stray cat.
You know, don't shoot me for saying this. There is a website called Third Man Factor where, you know, in the most dire of circumstances, your house is burning down, or you're in a ship that caught on fire, or whatever, that somebody or something shows up and leads you to safety. And your description there just sounded a little similar, and we don't know a lot about, you know, how this all works or what makes it happen, and so, you know.
And the thing is, I don't care
yeah.
what makes it happen or why or even how it happens. The fact is that when you get a phase 7, the dependability of the information is always very, very high. This is one of the reasons why a phase 7 is one of the only types of stray cats that we will carry into the summary.
We do have 2 questions. Marco told me in text that he would like to say something. And David Beatty says, I thought all P7s were as real an experience as Lynn describes. I only get earworms. The notion of P7 can be a smell or sense or of touch.
That's right.
So,
or it can be just a song that goes through your head. Or it can be something as, well, like on another one, it was a practice target. And I had this song going through my head, to the point where I just had to call an end to the session because this song going through my head, I couldn't even think of anything else. And it was Lucy in the sky, Lucy in the sky, Lucy in the sky. And so I explained that to my monitor. I quit the session and explained that to my monitor. It was a practice session. And he said, okay, what are the next words to the song? And I said, I don't know. What are the next words to the song? And he said, with diamonds. And he opened the folder that had the feedback picture, and it was a picture of a person holding both hands in, you know, that were piled high with diamonds. And that was a P7 simply telling me, you know, Lucy in the sky, come on, what's next, what's next, you know. And it was my subconscious using a song to try to tell me what the target was. But I kept writing down in my session, quote, Lucy in the sky, unquote. So P7 can come in many different forms.
Let me take Marco's mute off. Wrong one. Where can I get my ellipsis there? There he went. Marco, what did you want to say?
Yeah, is the mute off? Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, thank you guys for sharing the stories. I just wanted to say something about the subconscious, if I may. Hello?
You're here. Go ahead.
It's actually from the yoga school that I am in, so I thought it's interesting to share. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so the infinite power of the subconscious. All of us can see that our inner life is not only about what we feel, perceive, and think consciously. In most cases, our conscious life is only a very small part of the vast and practically unlimited totality of our inner life. I think it was. Therefore, many of us have the intuition of the presence of many processes manifesting in our being in every moment, of which we have almost no information or knowledge at all. We should mention here that modern psychology approaches the human mind from various perspectives, but especially from the perspective of the access the one who experiences has to it. Therefore, it defines two main areas of the mind, the conscious and the subconscious. There are some nuances also here. So sometimes we encounter three areas of delimitations of the mind: the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. In any of these systems, we deal with different areas of access to the functions of the mind. To the presence of powers that lie hidden in the area of our being corresponding to the mental plane, very many researchers and seekers have associated it to success in life or on the path of evolution. Since it is a force withdrawn from direct and immediate access, the possibility to use the power hidden in the subconscious has aroused the interest of many spiritual seekers and scholars. Of course, people have always attempted to control all the hidden forces of the being, and for this reason the conquest of the subconscious has always been a great challenge. Even more, the expansion of the subconscious the expansion of the consciousness into the subconscious domain is the source of superior state of consciousness, and even represents a modality to the reached state of superconscious ecstasy, samadhi. Are you still with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just continue. The techniques for the expansion of the consciousness through the fusion with specific energy of mantra, like Laya Yoga, fulfill this role very precisely, since through perseverant practice, the conscious field gradually expands into the subconscious area, from where we receive some of the expectational states which then appear. Nevertheless, in their quest for happiness and success, most people use empirical methods which do not involve such radical transformations. For many, the greatest dilemma is the fact that the quest for the source of power and happiness seems to be right here, since it is about the miraculous creative power that dwells in our own being as the mysterious treasure of force and beauty that is our subconscious. The infinite wealth of the world is right there, close to us, waiting for us to open our soul to contemplate it. Although we ignore this fact on a daily basis, there is a genuine gold mine within the human being, an inestimable treasure from where we can extract everything we need in order to live a wonderful, happy, and fulfilling life. Many people sleep ignoring this infinite treasure of intelligence and love which dwells inside them. Still, when you reach to the point of having this knowledge, you can obtain whatever you desire from this mysterious inner treasure when you know how to use it. The colossal powers hiding in our subconscious can be used in two fundamental ways: through the awakening of the consciousness at the level of subconscious, therefore in fact awakening our super consciousness, accessible only from the level of supermental, through the impregnation of our being with energies and force ideas which are then received and amplified in a specific manner by the subconscious and later on manifested as accomplishments. Although the first way is the most certain, it requires the awakening of, it says, Anya chakra, which is the third eye, to a great extent, and the familiarity with supermental structure. For the second way, we only need perseverant attention and necessary knowledge. Here is an analogical example. A magnetized piece of steel may attract and lift an amount of iron weighing as much as 12 times more, but the same piece of steel cannot even lift a feather. Yeah. Regarding the degree of preparation for using the power of the subconscious, there are two categories of people: those who are magnetized, full of trust and hope, knowing that they were born to succeed in anything they do, and those who are demagnetized, full of doubts, fears, uncertainty, prejudice, and superstitions. It's obvious here that those who are magnetized will benefit from the immense support of the hidden forces of the subconscious, while those who are demagnetized will suffer through the chaotic action of the energies which come from the level of their subconscious.
I think one of the things here is that people try to understand, what's going on inside of us by words that we use outside of us, like the magnetism and so on. And that's really the only way we have to understand it. But the fact is that you have to experience it.
Yeah, that's true.
And, the whole problem seems to boil down to one word, and that is communication. Whatever's going on in your subconscious, if it is not able to communicate that to the conscious mind, and if your conscious mind is unable to communicate to your subconscious what you want, then your life is going to be fractured. And this is one of the things I like about the remote viewing, is that in order to do the remote viewing, you have to learn how to communicate with yourself. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just wanted to say something about the the power that lies in each of us.
And we're just beginning to learn about it, really.
Yeah.
David says he thinks our technologies are an attempt to replicate our native human abilities, sometimes to enhance them. Yeah. Well, your subconscious speaks. To each of us, it's almost like we have a different receiver, you know, tuned into different things that make us what we are. Some of us are artists, some of us are IT specialists, some of us are engineers who can build bridges and have multitudes of ideas. I appreciate a great engineer that keeps me up out of the river water. Trust me. I like a guy who can build a good bridge. But, you know, I think so much of those ideas and abilities come through our subconscious. I have no way of proving it, but I just think that there's a conduit there that we just have no idea. And if we could really tap into it, what wondrous things we could do.
Yeah.
And it is, we've been at this just about 2 hours. I think we probably need to think about saying goodnight, Gracie. Anything from anybody to wrap us up?
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. And we've had a couple people needed to leave early. They said thank you as well. Thanking David for his sessions and Lynn for his commentary.
I just hope it helps.
Yeah, this was a great night.
Off-topic comment. Go ahead.
Yeah. We could probably
Hello.
your mic.
Are we going home now?
I'm going to send
Hello.
this. Let's see, I did San Diego.
Are we going home now?
Yeah, I think we're closing down.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think so.
I just wanted to ask a small question about in the CRV website, you know, on the frequently asked questions. Somebody asked Lynn about some device that you can, like, computer device that can visualize, you know, what some information from subconscious or
Yeah.
something.
It's called a tachistoscope, and there aren't any out on the market. Any that you make, you have to make yourself. You can make them with an old camera by taking the lens away. Is probably the easiest way to do it. Look up, do you have a pen there?
Yeah.
Okay, TACHISTOSCOPE, tachistoscope.
Yeah, tachistoscope.
And look it up. You'll find the principle of it. And you know, if you take an old camera, take the lens off, but you still have the shutter there. It's an excellent training tool for remote viewing and for descriptive writing, for creative writing and such as that. It has a lot of uses for training the mind. It's a very good tool.
I'm not so sure we understand each other. I think I was trying to ask about something else.
Oh, okay.
Like there's I'm trying to find the question in the question list.
Yeah, actually, I just had the FAQs up. I didn't see anything.
But I totally remember reading this in this section. It's basically like you can visualize, you know, what's happening in your subconscious, like a device or something. like a piece of hardware or something. And
which one that would be?
and you were saying that probably it will take so much money. It's like well, not realistic to do this.
Oh, yeah. I had wanted in the beginning to get funding to get time on a supercomputer and tie together as co-inputs remote viewers who are all trying to remote view a single target. And as each one came up with descriptors, they would type it in or put it in some way, and you would have the one central target that would, you know, show up on the computer screen, and each person would add to the information, and it would wind up actually being a single result of a group remote viewing. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars here, so it never happened. But I think it would. I think it would be useful.
Okay.
If you know of any government or any billionaire who would like to try that, I'm for it.
No, because it just reminded me a scene from one movie that was called "The Spirits Within."
Yeah. Yeah.
And this doctor, this female doctor, had like a machine to record dreams. And,
yeah.
That would be very useful anyway.
I think it's very possible. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do it.
Yeah. First, there's the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we need. There's that minor little catch.
Minor obstacle. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And we will see everybody at Target of the Week in another 2 weeks from last night. And we have some targets coming up that are not from Lynn's website, and a project for folks to contribute to, so we'll see what that's like. And some other discussions like tonight as soon as I can fit them into my schedule. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Lynn and David. And I think with that, we should probably say good night.
Good night, Gracie.
Good night, John Boy.
Thank you for doing all this.
You're welcome. Needs to be done.